How's it going, everybody?
You know who it is.
My name is Sunwoo, and before you get all upset and leave nasty comments down in the comment section, yes, I admit it, this plugin was not made by Teenage Engineering, nor was it made by Ableton. However, the developers have previously worked for Teenage Engineering and for Ableton, and that's why I chose this thumbnail and title. Gotta keep it short and snappy. And of course, the plugin that I'm talking about is Visco by Forever89, which caught my attention, I don't know, a few weeks ago when they first announced it. It's a really interesting plugin which allows you to manipulate drum samples as if they were a synth plugin, so you can morph between different samples and reshape them with a graphical interface that just seems really intuitive and interesting. So without further blah blah, let's just have a look, play around with it and have some fun. So just to play some sequences, I've got the OPZ here because it makes it easy to play the drums. As you can hopefully see here on screen, now I have the plugin loaded up and you are greeted by this little interface. You've got multiple instruments here, which you can play on the keyboard. So you've got 8 tracks within this instruments for percussion. Here we've got the kick drum, but I could also change it for any other instrument if I wanted to. And so this kick drum here is made of 2 kick drums. I've got a slider up here, and I've got the simple kick sample on the left and the huge kick on the right. So I can morph between them as I'm playing it. And you can see this graphical representation of the sound on the grid change as I'm dragging the slider. And this grid here is showing us the frequency spectrum, I believe, on the x-axis. So here should be low frequencies, there the high frequencies, as well as the time on the y-axis. And the height of the blob, or the z-axis, or the z-axis, however you want to call it, is showing us the intensity of that sound. So this is a very subby, bassy kick, not a lot of high frequencies there. But as we are moving that, we get more high frequencies and also more on the time spectrum because the sound is ringing out a lot longer. So far so good. Let's load in our own sounds. So if I drag the slider to the left and then just drag and drop a sample onto the grid here, it will be loaded in the left slot. That's my sample. And originally I have this snare on the right side, but I'm gonna load another snare into it. For example, let's say this one. And now I've got these 2 snares to choose in between. Pretty cool. And yeah, I mean, this seamless morphing feature already is insane. Because it's not just layering your 2 snares and then changing the volume of either of the layers. It is really, I don't know, it's witchcraft. Alright, so that's the morph slider. Already super great feature. Then we can do crazy stuff like this here on the left. We can mirror this blob. That's actually what it's called in the interface. So that's what it sounds like now, but if I mirror it, I got some percussion with a shaker in it. Really cool. Again, mirror it back. And of course I can still morph between them. The middle was best. All right. Mirror it back. We can also mirror it upside down. Yeah, interesting as well. All right, we get to these these little buttons later. Then we have these modifiers here on the right side, as well as down here. As you may have noticed, the ones down here have the same names as these here, and the ones on the right are specific for the snare channel, whereas the ones down here will influence all the channels at once. And it gives you a little description on the bottom left of what they do. So, time scale. Let's change the timing of the snare. It gets shorter and shorter, or very long. So you can tell this really goes far beyond what I've seen or worked with so far when it comes to samples. Then we can change the frequency. So it keeps the timing but changes the pitch. Alright, contrast emphasizes the most prominent components. Let's check this out. If we turn it down all the way, we don't have any emphasis. Almost sounds metallic now. Oh, now we emphasize it even more. Ah, interesting. So now we get to a really dry sound. So all the rattling that happens in the background gets cut out as I turn up the contrast. It really focuses on the main transient, it seems. Whereas here, when I turn it down, everything just washes out. Yeah, really cool. Let's see what it does on the different sides. Yeah, so this sound has a bit more to it. It's a bit longer. Let's drag that one in there. What if we get to these other tools up here and change it around a little bit? Oh, okay. With the smudge tool or whatever it's called, the drag tool. So now I've shortened this sound. And as I said, I haven't tested this out enough, so I don't know how to do it in the most useful way. However, you can see that from this sound, from this sound to this sound, it was only a few clicks, so you can really manipulate a sample into something completely different. And where this really interests me is in terms of copyright of a recording. Like, how much do you have to change this now to make it a sound that is not really recognizable anymore from the original sample? Surely if I just make a few strokes with the drag tool, the waveform already is completely different, and you couldn't say, well, this is my snare drum or this is my kick drum, because it's already altered too much. And yeah, that's very interesting. Like, where does the copyright end now? Let's drag in, excuse me. Let's drag in a few kick drums maybe. Still not happy. I mean, it might not be the best pairing, but I think the results are still quite astonishing. I see the density has been edited. Alright, now we're gonna load some hi-hats. We are gonna go with this one. So. Yeah, that's a nice mix. So let's put down some hi-hats first. Maybe we should also put some snare drums down. How about that? So now I'm gonna put some hi-hats in between and give them less velocity, and I'm gonna try to look into the modulation capabilities when it comes to velocity. Let's see. Let's get some velocity models. That already doesn't sound too bad. Yeah, sounds quite natural. Let's put another velocity layer here, even more quiet. So let's morph a little bit. So it seems to me, I have no idea, but it seems to me that the hi-hats, the velocity morphing is not only affecting the volume, but there's probably some other stuff going on, but don't ask me. It sounds good though. Let's just play the hi-hats. Sounds really natural. Play with the kick drum. Just edit things as we go along. The snare drum now. So that sounds nice, giving it more contrast and then making it longer. Alright, let's throw some percussion on this track here. This one here. Oh, that morphs really well. I don't know. I'll type in something random here. again, I'm gonna play with some velocity layers. And we're gonna apply some dynamic model. I see, so now the velocity is applied to the contrast parameter, I'm assuming. And now we are morphing between the two different samples. Also pretty cool, nice. And again, now that our whole pattern is playing, these knobs down here will transform all of them at once, so all the different sounds. Let's check that out. And then transform it again. That is pretty cool. More unnatural sounding, or just giving it this really weird artificial room to it in a way, if you crank it up. But if you just use the contrast more sparingly, I think it does sound natural. And then let's check out density. Pretty awesome. I'm not going to go into more detail because I don't know what's going on, but I believe there is, in this variation section, there's some kind of randomization going on, so you still get different sounds from your original material with this. I don't exactly know what's going on, but it is a pretty cool plugin and I'm gonna be diving in deeper. I just wanted to give you a quick heads up that this is out now, and yeah, I find it really interesting because the area when you get to now we can manipulate samples in a way that wasn't possible before. So it's not just layering different sounds on top of one another, but really getting in there and, as you saw, dragging this blob around and dragging your waveforms around to make new sounds out of them. I find it super interesting. How about you? Let me know down in the comments. Hope to hear from you. Hope to see you in the next one. Until then, have a wonderful time. Peace.